When exactly was Grant diagnosed as being on the spectrum?
He was diagnosed a month before he turned 19, so it would have been in March of 2010.
Okay. What treatments or what professionals was he seeing before the diagnosis?
Oh boy. I think we saw about 6 psychiatrists for one reason or another. From kindergarten on, his second kindergarten. His first kindergarten was oh shoot, I can't think of her name now. Not the traditional schooling, Montessori.
Oh, okay.
And I decided Montessori was not working for him at all. And so we put him in traditional school in a different school district. And the kindergarten teacher was known to be a very excellent teacher. And at mid-semester, she said she thought he might need some help, that there was something a little different about him. And so we started seeing a therapist who then later referred us to a psychiatrist. And we were with him for 2 or 3 years, and then he went to Mass General. And then we started what I think of as our journey through different psychiatrists for one reason or another. One therapist got cancer, and so then we had to transfer to another one. In between the psychiatrists, we saw therapists for talk therapy as well. And the psychiatrist had him on a plethora of medications. Because the one thing that stood out for the entire 12 years that he was seeing psychiatrists was that he had OCD, obsessive compulsive disorder. And he would get stuck on one subject to talk about, to want to do, to care about at all, and that was movies. But at no time in the 12 years that we saw all these therapists and all these doctors did anyone ever suggest that he might have Asperger's until actually one of the therapists that my husband and I went to, because we needed therapy too, said it sounds like Asperger's to me. Mm-hmm. So then we started looking a little bit harder at that, and that's when we went to Monroe-Meyer.
Okay, so at what point did that therapist tell you that it sounded like Asperger's?
Oh, well, it was probably just 6 months or a year before we finally went to Monroe-Meyer.
Okay. What professionals is he seeing now?
Now he sees a psychiatrist and a therapist. And the therapist goes to his school and sees him once a week at his school.
What early signs of an autism spectrum disorder or anything else did you notice, like when he was a child or younger?
Well, when he was really, really young, my mother noticed that I had a birthday party for him when he was 3. He's my only child, so that was a pretty big deal. And he got, the kinds of toys and games that any 3-year-old might get. But he was not at all interested in any of them. He was only interested in his videos. And that remained that way throughout the remainder of his adolescence and teenage years. Okay. And it's still pretty much that way. Although somehow or other he added in books. But with books, he does like to read some, but it's more a matter of collecting books and putting them in order. And occasionally he'll rearrange them. And when he was in grade school, we'd say, let's watch such and such a video. And he'd say, oh, okay, I'll go get it. It's in my birthday section. and he would go to a section of videos where he'd gotten videos for his birthday, and he had a section for Christmas and a section for Easter and a section for, and he knew right where they were based on how he had cataloged them in his mind.
Okay. What was the most challenging part of the diagnostic process?
Well, one psychiatrist said he was bipolar, and so he took some medication that made him gain a lot of weight. That's Risperdal, and I would never allow him to take that again, no matter what.
How old was he when he was on that?
Oh gosh, I think he was probably in 4th or 5th grade, maybe. It didn't seem to bother him, but and then he took some other kind of medication where he had to get blood tests every month, I think. And that was frustrating as far as time. And he was a real trooper about it. He just went ahead and stuck out his arm and he'd kid with the nurses, and he'd say, I'll go in by myself, Mom, even when he was young. And so from that standpoint, I really admired him. He didn't question it, he just did it. And I think because he started taking medication when he was younger, he's really good about it now. He knows that there is certain medication that will benefit him and keep him from saying or doing the wrong thing.
Do you feel that Grant receives adequate resources and education at his school?
Oh, yes, I do now. Special ed can be a real toss-up depending on who the special ed teacher is. He had one special ed teacher that took a liking to him, and she was tough. She was really tough, but she was good for him. And he had a special project where he had to do a big display on a state. Each kid got assigned a state, and he was assigned New Mexico, and that happened to be her home state. And she called her mother, and her mother sent a whole bunch of stuff back, Native American belts and some bead work and all kinds of really fun stuff to help him with his presentation. And it was a great presentation. He did a really good job, and she took a special interest in him. Other special ed teachers, like in middle school, I didn't think the special ed was very good at all. And then the special ed teacher in the high school he's supposed to be in is a fabulous woman, and I think he may get to have her again one of these days. But he's been with Alpha School now for a couple years, and it is essentially almost one-on-one. In his case, now that he's a senior, I believe his special ed, I don't know whether he takes special ed math or not, but a couple of his classes, it's just the teacher and Grant. And he'll come home and tell me things he's learned and be enthusiastic, and I think, what a gift that he can get this one-on-one.
Yeah.
Because
I'm not familiar with the Alpha School.
Okay.
What is that?
I can't tell you a history. It still kind of remains a mystery to me, but Alpha serves all the school districts in Omaha, as far as I know, except maybe 66. And so in our case, Millard pays for Grant's transportation to and from Alpha. Alpha doesn't actually graduate anyone, but they get you ready to graduate. And any kid that's had any kind of disciplinary problem or problems learning in a regular large classroom has to be recommended by the special ed the head of special ed, which in Grant's case is for the entire Millard School District. And he recommended Grant. I am so grateful that he did, because I think there's maybe 8 to 10 kids in Grant's class and 2 teachers full-time.
Wow.
And some of the kids take what they call special ed. It's all special in a way, because they're very, very strict. And fortunately, Grant hasn't really had any problems there at all. But his grades have shot up. And he gets really good grades now. And that's wonderful.
Yeah.
And he appreciates it now. He didn't care that he got good grades when he was younger at all. You know, we'd make a big deal over a B or an A, and he'd just kind of shrug like, whatever.
Yeah.
But now he gets excited about them.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
As a mother, what would you like to tell other mothers or parents about Asperger's? What advice would you give them?
Well, being diagnosed with Asperger's at his stage, which was almost 19, is considered very late in the game. And one of the very first things that we were told was to get him signed up for SSI. And then we were told, you know, what attorney we could use if we couldn't get him in it. And so we did. We moved as quickly as we could. We only had a month to do it. And he was accepted for Social Security, which in turn made him eligible for Medicaid, which is good, because the fear is, what are they going to do after high school? And I think Grant could, his IEP indicates that he could go on to college. And I think he's smart enough to do that. Unfortunately, what he wants to major in is would almost require a master's degree. But, you know, that may happen. There was a time when, honestly, I did not think he would graduate from high school, because the OCD got in the way so badly. If he was obsessed about something, a movie, let's say, then he couldn't hear the teachers. They could have talked all day long about whatever subject they were talking about, but he was only thinking about, I wonder if I'll get to go to that movie this weekend. Mm-hmm. And I've got to remember to tell Mom about it. Plus, because it was a public school, he, at the time, he was interested in making the other kids laugh. And then now I think he would be interested in, you know, would this girl like me? Would that girl like me? And that's the beauty of Alpha, is it's not a private school, but they don't encourage friendship so much among the kids, because each kid has their own problem to overcome. And I would say find everything you can out about Asperger's. It's not as tragic or as horrible as I first perceived it to be. And so, since it's just been a year, really, since we've had Grant diagnosed, there are many times I see that he's just like other kids. As a matter of fact, since he was diagnosed so late in his life, I can't tell when he's annoying me, if it's the Asperger's or if it's because he's a teenager. And I've come to learn that he has some wonderful qualities, and it just happens that he's extremely outgoing. And some of the Asperger's kids I've met are really introverted, and I feel for them. And it's a pleasure to know that Grant can just about walk up to anyone and make friends with them. When he was younger, that was a concern for us, because he would talk to total strangers. But now I think he's got a little more discernment, I hope. And, you know, our goal now is to get him in a situation where he can live on his own.